Hey everybody, welcome back. Let's make sure the recording might be a little bit off, but we'll try it again, make sure it kicks in and works. Yeah, we're good. So in this one, we are going to, pardon the slow introduction, but there we go. We are going to try and unlock the rest of the house. Okay. Clark Field's notes, which he wrote prior to his death. 1/03/2011. This is the notes we picked up before, and I'm just now reading. I decided to write these notes precisely 1 month after I bought this house, in which I have found myself lost in thought, adrift in its dim silence. I escaped the meaningless monotony of my life by listening to every creak, every sound the house makes. I may not write often, but I think that these notes are important. I found this house only by an astonishing coincidence. I had gotten lost in the snow-covered narrow streets of this part of the city. While I was wandering, I felt an awe, as though I were adrift in some misty past. I awoke from my wonder and strove to find the way back. That is how I came to this house. Its majestic appearance attracted my attention. For some time I had wanted a place to come from time to time to listen to this overlooked world of the past that no one knows and where no one wants to come. I found a barely legible metal plate on the half-ruined garden wall that allowed the number of the house. It was covered with rust, probably as old as the house itself. Without hesitation, I recorded the number in my digital organizer, which I bought some time ago because of my increasing forgetfulness. When I inspected it from the outside, it was obvious that no one lived there at the time. I examined it in order to learn if it was for sale or not, and I can't describe my feeling when I found the person who was selling it. Later, I talked to the vendor. When a happy smile on his face, I remember he said that he had never come here before the house had been left to his company because of a mortgage, and he wanted to sell it right away, but never thought this would happen. He didn't know anything more about the house, and in fact, I wouldn't have cared if he had. I bought it without hesitation. There is one point I don't want to continue without mentioning. After I bought the house, I learned that it had another admirer who had introduced himself as Ivar Bergen, a Norwegian immigrant. Judging from his appearance, it was obvious that he was a wealthy person, and I remember that he said when we first met he was also an aspiring owner, but that it seemed he was too late. That's the name Ivan. Oops. Let's do the whole sentence. Let's do the date. I don't think the forgetfulness will have anything to do, but it might somehow appear into his psyche, and I don't think so, but I want to try it out anyway. 01/018/2011. This house is as an old and real place beyond my imagination. I cannot stop thinking of what it would say if walls could talk. Some of the surrounding houses have been abandoned and shunned by people and are on the brink of collapse. A few of them even collapsed a long time ago. It makes you wonder as to the probability of restoration having been done fairly recently, since the house is still standing firm and strong. I am sure that this house is as old as the surrounding ones. Maybe the reason for the bad reputation of this quarter is the different rumors that are often spread about some of the abandoned houses. These rumors recount how these houses have sometimes had bad owners, including some unknown foreigners. Some people in the town consider the crime rate to be high here, but that has not been my experience. The inhabitants of the neighborhood keep very much to themselves and don't socialize frequently, other than to gossip quietly amongst themselves. I've started 06/2/16/2011. I've started getting to know Ivor Bergen, and I can't say that our interests coincide almost completely. And I can say, he visited me after our first meeting, and we took the Albany to talk at length. He managed to enchant me with his vast knowledge of mystic subjects. We talked the night away, discussing topics of mutual interest, and he told me about the things he experienced in some Eastern European countries and India, and about his connection with some really esoteric and secret people societies. He told me that he had read some books and some tomes which are prohibited, or attempts that had been made to try to destroy them a long time ago. I cannot describe the pleasure I had when he expressed his unbelievable theories about the background of most of the things which are assumed to be superstitions, with proof cited from things he had read in some of the ancient sources. For a long time, I lived amongst the ordinary people and cannot describe the empty feeling that I always felt within me. From now on, I think that I will not have such a problem anymore. In life, it is really hard to find someone with whom you can speak with, even within your own family. I told Ivor this from the bottom of my heart and encouraged him to visit me whenever he likes. Alright? Let's see about the roofing. Some restoration. While would the house be being restored? Alright. Let's do the prohibited books. I don't think there's anything in this text. No. 3/3/2011. Before tending to the outdoor areas, I decided to restore the interior of the house. To do this, I was assisted by the original blueprints. While I was checking the antique furniture last night in order to decide what to throw away, I found one carved wooden statue in a strange well-like dig, whose opening was carefully covered with a single piece of rusty metal plate and some wooden blocks. I had not checked this room before, since its key was not given to me with the others. I might have noticed this beforehand, but I didn't have much time to get the keys, being busy with company agreements. And from the man from whom I bought this house was abroad traveling. Incidentally, there's another point that I can't continue without mentioning. That room, which oddly enough contains a well, has no electric wiring. It is really strange that, in contrast, all other rooms have electricity. So I had to light the room with some lanterns, which I found amongst the old furniture of the house. Maybe now we can get a lantern by looking. Now that we know, I feel a slight cold draught coming from within the carefully covered well, and occasionally I heard some rattling sounds. Because I didn't have a strong enough flashlight, I couldn't examine the situation down below. I even threw a few small wooden blocks down, but I only heard sound which made me think that the ground at the bottom is covered with mud. As soon as possible, I'm going to buy a stronger flashlight and examine down below. Well, we've already read the report where he did that. There isn't even the slightest clue regarding the reasons for digging such a well. Maybe it is the entrance to an underground room which was dug for the purpose of taking shelter during extraordinary situations, such as a war. I want to take a look down there, but the ladder at the side seemed too rusty and flimsy. I decided that trying it would be too dangerous, so I tried to find another way, but I couldn't find anything useful at the time. The carved wooden statue is a complete enigma. I have no idea what it depicts. Whenever I hold it, due to reasons that I can comprehend, I feel it is very ancient. It was carved smoothly from a species of tree that I don't recognize, and it contained a secret compartment. I think that I intentionally did something because it opened by itself, or maybe it was already open. I'm not sure. There was nothing in the secret compartment. It was completely empty. Oddly enough, I felt that it had once stored something very precious. In addition, a beautiful, subtle smell is dispersing from within the secret compartment. I cannot tell what it is, but maybe it is some type of incense. Was there another place we smelt the incense? Oh god, I gotta remember where. I might have to look to my old videos and find that out. 03/24/2011. I think I've really started to get used to the house. During the first weeks, although I even hid this from myself, I felt like I wasn't going to get used to being here. I was jumping at every creak and cautiously listening to every sound. I kept waking up because of some excessively dense, strange smells whose source I couldn't identify, and then I wasn't able to get back asleep again. Yes, this may sound childish, but this house is a genius loci that is really effective. As if all the creaks which are heard within and all the musty smells are alien. Maybe some of the stories that I have heard from some of the local people have influenced my thinking. The importance of these stories, most of them being related to the owners of the houses, seem too much for the local people. When they talk about these matters, a tone dominates their voices that is a mixture of awe and reverence, and as though they are afraid of being heard, they start to whisper. According to these stories, this quarter is one of the first settlements of the Wellsmith, and for this reason the houses which are standing now are the only reconstructed, or at least vastly restored version of the old original ones. There was a special purpose for trying to keep some of these houses intact, and they are too light-lipped about this purpose. They mention some connections and deep wells like the one I found in my house, but they refrain from describing the purpose of these. If I investigate further, I hope to learn more about these connections or deep wells. I don't. No. That's it. 04/21/2011. I completed all the preparations for the restoration. My friends just started playing a game and it popped up. I thought it might have been an achievement. I have completed the preparations for the restoration and hired a competent and experienced team. They will start working next week to change all the inner wooden planking and wallpaper. I hope that these changes I can stop all those musty and other unknown smells. I can't say that Ivor likes this restoration progress. He asserted that such changes are going to destroy the original genius Loki, and he argued with me on this for a long time. For some reason that I could not understand, I can't stop thinking that he's more angry than he let on. Yes, I know that he's really sensitive about such topics, but I can't change his opinions. I told him that this is going to be a restoration that is based on the original design. I am not going to change my mind about this. As soon as possible, I want the restoration process completed. So he's not going to say anything about any of that. I need to have the key. I have the... Why is that page blank? Did I not read that last time? I thought I did. Alright. Well then, let's read it. Even this is going to be a very ready video. 05/17/2011. For the past 2 weeks, I was out of town because of my job. And when I returned feeling tired, I learned the restoration had not been completed due to the sounds that some of the workers suggested came from the cellar. There was another thing that said about the workers getting scared off. I don't remember what those things are. Might have to make a map and keep it with me when I play. This incident made me really angry, and I immediately obtained a strong flashlight in order to find out what these superstitious vagrants may have been afraid of. My purpose was, by using the old rusty ladder, which he didn't want to do earlier because it was unsafe, to go down and just take a look down there. But it didn't matter how many steps down I took. The ground continued to be still, concealed in the claustrophobic pitch darkness of the well. A short time later, I noticed the opening of a horizontal tunnel. I entered the tunnel to check it. I don't know for how long I stayed there, in the wondering why and when this worm-like burrow was dug. When I decided to proceed, I felt my legs were aching. After moving forward a short distance, I reached a wide chamber which was full of blood-curdling, strange statues. On its walls, you could see some signs of some erased, and now, to a great extent, unreadable writings or wall paintings. The air was dominated by some thick, decaying smell, which caused me to cough frequently. From the opening of the tunnel, on the right and left walls of the chamber, there were some kind of statues which looked almost alive. So much so that just for a second, I thought they would rise and start to walk, which I thought depicted saurian-headed creatures with the bodies of men. There was another figure which seemed to depict a ruler, similar to the hybrid statues on the walls, who was sitting on his throne and watching one of the creatures being sacrificed. This scene was depicted with such realism that no one could look at it without feeling a sense of terror. Let's see if we can... I guess there's still nothing in there. When I got close to the figure sitting on its throne, I noticed that some kind of smoke was leaking in from the gaps that were behind the concrete throne. In fact, this was not easily discerned, because if not for the wind which is blowing the smoke inside, I wouldn't have noticed it at all. I heard some sounds coming from behind me, those gaps which allowed the wind and smoke to enter. The presence of these gaps made me believe that there may be other chambers below that one. If so, this could be an important archaeological discovery. I jumped with fright on hearing some noises that were certainly coming from beyond the tunnel in the depths of the pitch-black well. I immediately entered the tunnel, intent on locating the source of the noises. In spite of my strong flashlight, visibility was limited. Through weary eyes, it may have been a momentary illusion. of the enormously magnified shadow of a rat being illuminated by my flashlight. But I saw, or I think I saw, something moving down there. I jumped with fright because of this, but only later would I realize the thing that shocked me and caused me to wake up from nightmares and listening, shivering, the sounds that came from beyond the darkness that, like a thick blanket, covered the places where merciful moonlight cannot reach. While I attempted to see something with my flashlight, when that gluttonous darkness, I heard a feeble voice that came from some faraway place, calling out something like, "Come." The voice is very similar to that of Ivor's familiar, low-pitched voice. There's one sentence that was kind of right here. I'll realize that the thing that shocked me and caused me to wake up from nightmares and listen, shivering, the sounds that came from beyond the darkness, like a thick blanket covered. Alright. Through the effect of that shock, I threw my flashlight into that dense century darkness, and with both hands free, I dashed the cold, damp, and rusty metal ladder, which at that time seemed to me as though it was eons old. While I was climbing out, without daring to look down, I caused a piece of the ladder to be broken off, and it fell into the pitch darkness. Maybe because of the comforting feeling provoked by this incident, I managed to reach the top and get out of that well. The next morning, when I woke up to my bedroom, bathed in sunlight, I thought that all these events were just illusions, merely caused by excessive weariness and insomnia. I reached another conclusion. Maybe Ivor was right about the restoration. This sort of place has very important features invisible to the naked eye. Hence, I decided to leave the house as it is now. I am not going to make any further efforts to restore the house. Why is that page blank? Let's go down the cellar. I wanted to explore more down there. Make sure I didn't miss anything. Let's check our clues. I even that document that talked about that I found that I was able to underline. There's something on the door there. Here. I wonder if I missed something here. That's what we got, the harmful smell clue. Let's see here. I'm not seeing anything else I can really investigate. There doesn't seem to be any interaction. Let's go over the second notes again. voice. I don't think that's going to do anything else, but... So I'm wondering if I'm just missing, like I'm not doing enough pixel hunting, or what's going on here. Look at our clues. I only leave the redskins if I can't really figure anything else out. What's that? How do I get that box looking thing? Alright. Oh crap, I have 2 of these out. Shit, I didn't want to do that. We should do the same thing. Damn it, how do I get rid of one? Alright. 6:55 a.m. I'm sure that's some kind of clue. What's in this room again? What if you don't have any kind of light in which I can you pick that up? No. Alright, so the video might be longer than the other because I don't want to give up quite yet. I don't want to turn in quite yet. Let's go look at that statue again. What's it in here? Oh, I don't think I saw this room. That room was hid in the shadows. So my last video when I said we explore the house was actually untrue, but it wasn't really my fault. Well, I mean, it kind of was, but it wasn't like on purpose or anything. Let's look on the house for this room for anything else, and then we'll read that. 2 doors out of here. That's the door that leads back out. What does this lead to? The wardrobe is locked. That's something we definitely can use. See, so that door's like hidden in the shadows. Okay, anything in here we can use? Just close. That's it. Alright, we found something, so that's good. Even have to cut the video before we enter the next room. At least I found the key. Alright, so let's read the book, at least what we can of it. What's that? That's not interesting enough, I guess. Can't read that. And from what we can read on it says, and maybe it was because of this mankind always tried, and is still trying to overcome this obstacle with help of some hallucinogenic substances. A lot of cravings and petroglyphs show as signs of mushroom cults that existed thousands of years ago. Understanding this soul metamorphosis demands examination of far more complex and esoteric thought systems, together with the asserted theories required by these systems. It is obvious that the soul metamorphosis is not a state that can be achieved simply through the process of altering the state of consciousness. It appears that, from the allusions which were found in some of the ancient texts, the information about the characteristics of the state is insufficient and leads to even more confusion. But again, an associate paint becomes apparent. This is the probability that hallucinogenic substances, which can be seen in most of the ancient documents, drawings, and carvings, may serve as a key or catalyzer. The most important examples of these can be seen in the stories that are told about the secret Eleusinian mysteries and the Kikion drink, which were used in these rituals, are very important in this respect. Sorry. No. At this point, I want to continue with some examples of the strange and in some parts confusing book of the notorious German writer, philosopher, and alchemist Wolfgang Schneider, who lived during the latter part of the 14th century and becomes radical thoughts about religious topics was burned at the stake when he was 68. This book, that was translated to our language as Eclipse of the Soul, is really hard to find presently, and is believed that the original copies can only be found in certain major libraries. In the book, the parts which deal with a very ancient esoteric belief called the Diverse. That's that word again. Forgot to look that up, but it's that word again. I need to remember. So write down where I found these things so I can have a map in the middle that I can look at when I'm playing. That was said to be directly related to the metamorphosis of the soul are particularly interesting. According to the book, in the Diverse belief, the starting and end phases of the metamorphosis of the soul process are depicted with the eclipse of the sun. The writer asserted that this belief is based on an ancient oral tradition doctrine, but he also claimed that he had intentionally kept secret the sources which led him to this information. The information necessary to research this topic cannot be found due to the secretive attitude of the writer. Yet according to some anthologists, this kind of a belief are present in the world. Another source that the writer used for proving his assertions must be mentioned and cannot be ignored. This source is a series of apartments called Summoning the One Who Lives Beneath. who lies beneath. He claimed the originals had been written in 4839 BC by an Egyptian priest using the strange hieroglyphics and some unknown symbols that are not hieroglyphics. The symbols in the Lieutenant office, maybe. He further emphasized that one he possessed, which is a copy of this original bought from him from Cairo, and might be dated back to 2200 BC. This parchment could not be found despite widespread searches by contemporary mystics. There is speculation that even if a parchment like this really exists, it probably resides in the collection of, and I'll read that, but I want to. Some rich cultist. The summoning the one who lies beneath is thought to be a compilation describing some preparations and rites written by an unknown cult that worshipped Apep and opposed Mayat, I don't know. This is according to some Egyptologists, though there are some who disagree with them. The important thing here once again is the allusion to the use of hallucinogenics. We know that there were mushroom cults in the Sahara Desert 7,000 to 9,000 years ago, owing to some carvings and petroglyphs. The fact that the text and these diagrams in the book completely corroborate these historical truths that proves that what Wolfgang Schneider had written about Wolfgang Schneider had written about the summoning, the one who lies beneath, may be true. The illusion and mystery. Okay, these are the alright, these are the notes. So let's go back. Oh, it did, it does tell you. The illusion and mysteries were annual inundation why can I not read tonight? Jeez, sorry. Ceremonies for the cult of Demeter, Pesperome, based at Eleusis in front of Greece, in ancient Greece. Of all the mysterious celebrations of ancient times, these were held to be the ones of greatest importance. These myths and mysteries began around 1500 BCE and later spread to Rome. These rites, cultic worship, and beliefs were kept secret, for initiation rites united the worshipful with God and included promises of divine power and rewards in the afterlife. And the kekion was an ancient drink made mainly of water, barley, and herbs. It was drunk at the illusion of mysteries. Pep was the deification of chaos and darkness, and thus opponent of light and Maya in ancient Egypt. Pep was seen as a giant snake, crocodile, serpent, or in later years, and in few cases, as a dragon. Maya was ancient concepts of truth, justice, order, and balance, and also a goddess who was the personification of this concept. There's nothing really interesting in there. So what we're going to do now is we're going to see what that key leads to, and then we're going to have to end the video. Can I not use a rusty key on there? Okay, what doors were locked? That's the bathroom, yeah. Let's go downstairs. There was that door behind me, like across the door. This came in, and of course this one right here. I doubt it's the basement because I'm sure we'll get there later. Wait, that's it? Maybe it is. Wasn't there a desk or something that was locked? Really? Well, let's save the mystery for next time. Next time we'll venture into the basement, beyond, into the well perhaps. Good night.